Good morning, hope you're well, and please stay well and careful and dry in that dangerous weather. Though we're looking at snowstorms and sleet storms over the next 24 hours, so particularly in higher ground, be very, very careful. There's, as I said, a heavy snow shower coming in at the present over West Waterford. Looked like it's going to skirt around by Rathgormack and Fuse, may not reach the city until later on in the morning. We're going to be talking to people from the picket line this morning. There are some hospital cleaners on strike at University Hospital Waterford. We've been out and about hearing their concerns this morning. We're also going to talk to Jenny Pym, whose father suffered a heart attack at the weekend, and the horror of the story of having to, I suppose, follow him in the ambulance down to Cork. Thankfully, he's okay this morning. John Lowe is going to talk to us about a green mortgage. You know what a green mortgage is. We're going to talk about phones as well. Do you know how often your phone can be tracked, where it is, and the pinging from different masts? A lot of this issue came up with the Graham Dwyer verdict yesterday. Anne Scully is going to be talking to us about the Harvey Weinstein case, that horrible, horrible man, and also has it an effect, or what happens here when people do things like that in Ireland. Claire Williams is going to talk to us also about milk bottles, refillable milk bottles at Cove stores and other places. Is the milk bottle going to come back into fashion? And we're going to talk a lot more about the Gardaí and retirement of senior Gardaí in terms of what effect that is going to have. Two papers are out in Waterford City this morning and across the county, Waterford News and Star and the Munster Express. Please go out and purchase them. Support local journalism. Very, very important. Over 125 cleaners at University Hospital Waterford are on strike action this morning in a row over pay and conditions. They're not looking for a pay rise. There is some staff have been brought in by the company Momentum Support. Basically, Momentum Support have the contract to do most, if not all, of the cleaning at University Hospital Waterford. They took over from a company called ISS in September 2019, so just last September. And those that are working there say that they've been hiring in new people at lower pay. And this is one of the issues. Around a €1.50 difference in the pay between the newer staff, and they say the rosters are different as well. So they're not actually looking for a pay rise. They just don't want people being brought in on lower pay. Those that are on lower pay there this morning, as far as I understand, they are working this morning. So services have not yet been affected. So here are some voices from the picket line this morning at University Hospital Waterford. We'll walk across here. How long are you working here?
I'm working here 18 years.
Were you always in the cleaning services, or?
I've always been employed by contract cleaners here. I'd been Noonan's originally, then corporate cleaners, ISS. It was mainly ISS until the Momentum Sport took over in September.
How much of a difference have you noticed since they took over?
Immediate. The atmosphere totally changed. They've been hiring loads of lower paid workers, loads of extra workers that are working for much less than ourselves, and we're not allowed to enter the new Dunmore wing, because because they only want lower paid. They want a fresh start in their lower paid workers, new work practices that have unilaterally enforced, that we've not been consulted on anything. There's no communication with us whatsoever. And there's been a lot of issues with pay also. A lot of people, including myself, have been left short in their pay. My Christmas wages, I had to wait until the 31st of January to get paid when I worked Stephen's Day and New Year's Day. That's there'll be constant errors all the time.
And did they say that was just an administrative error or one of those things?
Oh yeah, they've a million and one excuses. But people have had enough. That's been going on for the last 5 months now. People have had enough. We just want to be treated fairly. How
many are out on strike? We've got, between everybody, how many are out, would you say?
There's
125.
125 workers that are of the...
Yeah.
I don't have an exact figure for sorry.
Yeah. And what's it going to mean, I wonder? How long will you stay out, or what's the story?
As long as need be. There's supposed to be talks tomorrow, I believe, the WRC, so hopefully they'll go well. We can resolve this. We don't want to be here picking at the public hospital. It's the last thing we want.
Maureen O'Donoghue, is it?
Yeah.
Shop steward here.
Yeah.
Good turnout this morning.
Very good.
Are you happy with it?
Yeah, very happy.
Is it something that you wanted to do, to pick at the hospital?
No, not really, no. Nobody wants to be out here. We just want our terms and conditions to stay the same. What transferred over, still pay from ISS. But it's not happening. It's a constant fight.
Why are you out here? Like, what's your own personal story?
I'm out here because they're trying to unilaterally change our working conditions in the hospital. Bins would be a big thing, that we're cleaning operatives and the boys are waste operatives. And now they're trying to make us change bins, women change bins. We originally went on strike 14 years ago because of bins. They were too heavy, the dangers of it. We won that fight, won that battle, and now they're trying to reintroduce it again.
And tell us, is pay an issue? Have you looked for pay rises?
No pay rises, no, just to be paid properly and on time every 2 weeks.
And what about low pay? Are they introducing others on lower shifts?
They've brought in lower pay.
And they'd say they're entitled to do that?
Yeah, under the ERO, yeah.
So you're just basically against that?
I'm not against anyone getting a job or employment, like more employment. I'm not against any of that, but just to be treated all the same, equally.
What is the difference in pay? How are they?
It's a 149 site allowance.
So what does that mean?
So we're on. The new people are on 10.80 and we're on 12.29.
10.80 and 12.
It's a site allowance of 149 that we.
So €1.50 an hour of a difference.
Yeah.
That could work out. How many people would be doing normally 44 hours a week?
Well, we're 39, and the new ERO is 44 hours, a week.
And what's it been like working alongside people like that are on lower pay? Has there been tension there? Again, it's no fault of their own.
No, with them, no.
And are any of them on the picket line this morning?
I don't see any. Here where I am, anyway.
What's going to happen inside? What does this mean? Like, is cleaning going to? Will things be affected?
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to provide a service inside.
They will provide a service, you think?
I'm sure, yeah.
Okay. Who have we got here?
John Colopy.
John, why are you here this morning?
Well, we just want to get an agreement with the new company, the Covo. We just wanted the 2 pay, just to transfer our employment. That's all we're looking for.
And have you had talks before?
Talks with the company, yeah, but they didn't go too far. They just went back on everything they'd done, that kind of way. So things didn't go well, and we did a few times try to get in contact with them to have meetings, and they said they weren't available. So we're at this stage now. We are having a meeting tomorrow, but we're just at this stage now that they are forced in this position.
How long are you working in cleaning services?
I'm nearly there 3 years.
And what about people being brought in on lower pay?
And that's not good, because everybody should be on the same level of pay. It's not good. The same level of pay should be for everybody, you know what I mean? When I wasn't with come over here, I wasn't there previously when ISS took over and they gave what was it, 165, isn't it?
I'm 22 years working in there, and we started off with ISS. We went to Newnans and we had a dispute with Newnans, and we got an extra it's 149 cent an hour now. But the people that this company are taking on now are taking them on at 10.80, and they're doing our work. They're doing a different roster to us. They're taking, specifically me, I was working in the department. They took me out of there because I refused to change bags. Not part of my job. So they took me up and put me somewhere else, but put me floating around all over the place. And we're not allowed in our uniforms to walk anywhere near the Dunmore Suite. We're totally banned from being in around the Dunmore Suite, because all the people that came in on 10.80, which shouldn't be in there on 10.80, they should be on our money. They're doing extra work, more work than us, because they're changing bags. So they should be actually on the extra money. And if they supported us, we'd support them.
And are any of them out on the picket line, or are they working today?
They're all in work today.
And how many are in there? How many?
We don't know, but we heard they brought 30 men in from somewhere.
From around the country. 30
men
around the country. We don't know where. We don't know where, but they brought 30 to 40 men from that are employed by Momentum Sport in different hospitals around the country, but we don't know where they brought them from.
And did they come in this morning before?
Well, as far as we know, they're there before 6. And the other staff that work for them, the newer staff, are all in. We're told to report for work at 6:30 this morning.
And how many people are employed on these lower wages?
30, we think, and plus the 30 that they're after bringing in today.
And have you tried to talk to them? Is it
yes.
Is it tense, or how would you describe it?
No, it's not tense. They've been told, as far as we're not, well, some of them are telling us that they've been told not to have anything to do with us, to stay away from us, that they're not part of us, and we all work for the same company. We can understand that. Like, we'll support them all we can. We would like them to be on the same money as us. Genuinely we would. And we think it's disgraceful that they're in there on 10.80. A lot of people. There's one chap started last week. He came in under. Well, he was told he would be emptying bins, and he would be doing. They had him washing walls and washing skirting boards. So he left. He wouldn't stay. Totally not against what they told him the job was for at 10.80.
you see, the problem they have with it is they don't want, the momentum is trying to divide the two previous SCIS workers and their new workers. They're just trying to divide it down the middle. All the SCIS workers and the new workers just trying to divide, and that's what their aim is, just trying to divide the whole lot. And we can't even go over there. As Linda said, we can't even look into the Dunmore wing. They want us anywhere near us.
How is this going to affect things, Linda, inside in terms of cleaning? Like, if you're out for a few days, do you think services are going to be affected?
Because services will be affected all over the place, because we have support from other parts of the hospital as well, and we're sorry that that's going to happen. But unfortunately, that they drove us to this. Like, you know what I mean? We've already had meetings before with them when we had an official strike coming up. We went into talks. They said things would change. Nothing has changed. They've gotten worse. People still haven't, as far as I know, haven't got their money from Christmas that they're owed since Christmas Day. Like, and the terms and conditions of our contract was supposed to go straight, swap over, and it hasn't.
How do you feel about all this?
I'm sickened to my stomach after 22 years that I'm like a piece of dirt walking around in there. They're not allowed to talk to us. The new supervisors that come in are basically told that they're not to do with us, and the staff are told that they're to have nothing to do with us. I mean, what did we do? We only came to work every day. I'm here 22 years and that's the way I've been treated. I mean, our site manager left, and we were so sorry to see her go, because she was very supportive with us all, and she's gone.
Do you think the hospital management and the HSE should do something about it?
I think they should. I think they really should.
They gave momentum to the contract. So it's their job to sort it out, because they gave momentum to the contract. So they have to sort it out. The HSE and the hospital management have to sort it out as well with them.
Totally agree with them. They need to stop. Something needs to change in there. We all want to work. Everyone. No one wants to be out here in the freezing cold.
What's the surname, Linda? What's the surname?
Linda O'Brien.
Linda O'Brien there, ending that report. Damien, what do the workers mean by changing bins and bags? There's issues there about the weight of bins and bags, and health and safety comes into it, they say. Now, we've looked for Momentum to come on, and we haven't heard anything back from them yet. So we've requested Momentum to talk to us. Damien, that hospital is not very clean at present. The shower was filthy, said this person. If you have any experiences of, I suppose, the hospital, let us know, please. 083 333 975, our text and WhatsApp number. You can also call Audrey on 051 846 123. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We have some video up on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. We have some pictures up as well of those on strike. But we want to hear from the ordinary punter out there. What does it mean for you? Would you be worried about going into the hospital if the cleaners are going to be on strike? Also, this idea that the new Dunmore wing, which is only partially opened, that those cleaners are not allowed to go into it. That is the first I've heard of that. It's bizarre. That sounds really, really strange. They're alleging that it's only the lower paid staff are allowed to go into the Dunmore wing. And also, what should hospital management do about this? What should the HSE do about this? Like, hospital management are ultimately responsible for services and for cleaning within their environs. So have they anything to say on this? Health is very, very important, and health matters are extremely important to many, many people, and it's one of the main issues that came up during the general election, and we are going to follow it up in the next few minutes with a heartbreaking story about a matter that could concern you. Don't go away. Now, a lot of texts and comments coming in about that. Damien, my name is Nora. I did that job for a week last year. They worked so hard. They deserve to be treated with respect. One person is expected to do 10.5 hours work in 7.5 hours. Damien, I've no pity for the cleaners at Ardkeen. They should take a lesson from the Whitfield cleaners. Another texter, there should be no outsourcing in public hospitals in Ireland as part of the problem. Making money for private contractors. All hospitals, all work should be done in-house. Morning, Damien. Fair play to the cleaning staff for taking this action. It appears management's lack of consultation or engagement to unite to resolve these concerns shows complete arrogance on the company's part. That is from Owen. Damien, hospital management should intervene immediately. It's bad enough the amount of infection in hospitals. My job involves this cleaning. We're not We're given diluted bleach for everything, says Anne. I've expressed it's not good for my health. Nothing has been done. John has phoned 051 846 123 to say, shouldn't all cleaners have the same work practices and maybe the older staff need to be retrained? He says it's most unusual that they're not allowed near the Dunmore wing. Sounds like there's a lot more going on. Keep your texts and comments coming in about this. Now, one of the main issues that's concerned so many people in the South East, not just in Waterford, is the lack of 24/7 cardiac care and a catheterisation lab at University Hospital Waterford. As we know, it closes at 5 o'clock on a Friday evening, opens again on a Monday. It's no fault of the staff. The government says that they're putting in place systems that will allow for the recruitment and a second cath lab in due course. That is still not open, but no guarantee of 24/7 care. On Sunday morning, a man out walking his dog in Waterford City felt unwell. If you're in your 60s, your 70s, any age whatsoever, if that happened to you, what would you do? I've been talking to Jenny Pym about her father's journey and what happened on Sunday morning. Here is Jenny's story.
So Sunday morning I got a phone from my mum that my dad, who will be 75 next month, reasonably fit man all his life, was walking their dogs as he normally does, and he didn't feel great out on the walk, and he made it back to the house, which was great. But he had a bit of a turn there, and my mum rang me and I ran the ambulance. Now they live in Ardkeen, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get an ambulance straight away, and I knew when I arrived that there was no way I was going to be able to bring him over, that he had to have an ambulance, and luckily the ambulance arrived pretty much straight away.
When you say he had a little turn, he just knew there was something going wrong, did he? And your mother knew as well?
He knew that there was something going wrong. He knew that he had gone really hot, he had gone really cold, he had pins and needles, and he was feeling really sick. And he wasn't sure. He's waiting on a hernia operation in Waterford Hospital since September, and he hasn't got a date for that yet, and he's in quite a bit of pain with that. So I think at the time we all thought it was connected to the hernia, and that either had it burst or something had happened in relation to the hernia. And even the ambulance men, when they arrived and they looked at him, they said, look, we don't really think it's a heart attack. He's got a very slow heart pattern, but it's not necessarily a heart attack, and they were quite positive about it.
What happened then? What happened then?
Then what happened, we got the ambulance. The ambulance were like, look, I think we'll go to the hospital. My mum isn't very well, so I said, look, I'll go. Got a labour in for her, and I went to the ambulance with my dad, and he really wasn't well. He was in pain, he was vomiting, and they were like, look, we need to get him in straight away. So they got him in. We were in the corridor for about, I suppose, 10, 15 minutes while they were clearing to go in. So this is about, I suppose, 10 o'clock. And then
10 o'clock in the morning?
In the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Sunday morning.
Yeah. And they couldn't get a trace. They were trying to put needles in him. There was 6 or 7 people working on him, and my dad's a very quiet, unassuming man, and he was frightened out of his life. He didn't know what was going on. All these beeping things, because they couldn't get a proper trace, because obviously he was having a heart attack.
Oh,
and it was absolutely horrific. And to be fair to the staff, they are incredible. But you know, by looking at them, that they know there's nothing they can do there, and they're wondering, are they making the right decision? Like, it was horrific. Like, the nurses couldn't have been nicer. They kept him calm. I had to stay with him, because every time I moved away, he panicked, and his heart then, do you know what I mean? It wasn't good. So I was there the whole time, and then they brought me aside because they didn't want to say it to him in front of him, because they knew he wouldn't be good. And they said, look, we're going to have to bring him to Cork. They said, as you know, we don't have a cath lab open here, and we really need to get him to Cork. He's having heart attacks.
And when you heard those words, what did you think?
My heart actually, it sounds like such a cliche, but my heart actually stopped. And I just went, is he well enough to travel? And they were like, we're going to have to try. And it was so hard for them as well. Like, I just really felt that they were doing everything they can. You know, my dad's never been in hospital. Maybe 30 years ago he had a hernia operation then or something. Like, he's a volunteer in the hospital. He's one of these people that is a friendly face, that if you're going and you don't know where you're going, he brings you to the right department. Like, And he does so much volunteering work in Waterford.
Yeah, I did a piece on those only a month or two ago. And what's your dad's first name again?
John Williams.
John Williams. And did the nurses or the doctor, or did you have to say it to him then? And what happened next?
They asked me to say it to him. And he was like, Jenny, why am I going to Cork? And I said, Dad, because you're having a heart attack. I said, and they can't fix it here. And he was like, can you come with me? And they said they couldn't. And it was basically, I think, because, they don't want to have too many people in the ambulance in case something goes wrong. They need to have all the equipment. Now, I would be a calm person. Like, I wouldn't panic or anything like that. But at the same time, you can understand. But then I had to drive behind the ambulance by myself for various reasons. And that wasn't safe. Do you know what I mean?
But that moment where you had to let go of his hand as he got into the ambulance and you had to step out of the ambulance.
It was really hard. I think even before that, the new ambulance men came in and there was all the discussion and they had to test all the equipment, and the doctors were really good because they said, look, we test all the equipment here to make sure it's going to be okay in the ambulance. They have a doctor, they have a nurse, and I had made sure my dad was comfortable with the nurse before I left so that he knew. Do you know what I mean? And she was going to hold his hand the whole way. They took my telephone number and they were saying to me, look, if you see the ambulance, stop. Please don't panic. It could be just a wire has been dislodged. And they begged me, they said, look, just don't chase the ambulance. We're going to have the sirens blaring. Really, you've got to stay back. And the ambulance driver said, look, you should go now because just in case you want to be there.
I can hear the upset in your voice, Jenny. Just even thinking about it.
David, it was just terrific. Like, I had to say goodbye to my dad, knowing I would have to get into my own car, and I was going to drive behind him. And so many people. And I said there's a really nice nurse in there, Ryan is his name, and I said to him, how often does this happen? And he said it could be 3 times in one day, and then it wouldn't happen for a week, and then you'll get another one. And you could see, and as we were longer there and they were trying to assess Dad more and more, you could see the seniority of the doctors that were there do you know what I mean? And you could just see them all going, you could see it in their heads, this is not right. Like, if it had happened today, it wouldn't be a problem. Now, he's fine. The CUH have been...
He got to Cork. That journey to Cork, did you follow the ambulance?
I tried not to follow the ambulance. I rang a friend who lives in Cork and she said she was going to come down and meet me halfway. She really didn't want me driving by myself. So by the time we had kind of got Dad stable enough to go into the ambulance and everything, she had kind of made it to Dungarvan. So she got into the car with me in Dungarvan and she drove with me. And the whole way along with her, I was waiting for Sean, the nurse, to ring me and say either something had happened or something. And we got a call. I suppose I was coming into Youghal and a number that I didn't know came up and I knew it was her. And honest to God, I don't know how I kept driving this car. And I just said, hi, Shauna. And she was like, hi, Jenny. And she was so upbeat and everything like that. But I know from Dad now that he'd had a bit of an episode in the car.
In the ambulance.
And that they wanted me to talk to him just to know. Like he said to me today, he said there was definitely a time in the ambulance yesterday where he'd never felt such pain and he felt himself drifting away. And in Waterford, they had said that he'd probably be assessed or whatever. But Sean rang me back then to say no, that he was going straight into cath lab. But by the time I was there, he'd probably be halfway through the procedure. And I asked Dad, I said, do you remember anything about yesterday? And he said, yeah, no. He said, literally, as soon as we got out of the ambulance, I was straight in and the team were ready there to take, which is fantastic. Like, I mean, absolutely. Yeah. And genuinely, this, Damien, isn't about how good CUH are.
No, it's about the service. Yeah, it's about the service. And what did they have to do? Were there stents or what happened?
They had to, I won't go into kind of all the details, but they couldn't do a stent. And they had difficulties with the angioblast. But they hope between the medication and everything they did do, that they will have got enough of it to hopefully that he will continue to improve. But they're doing more tests today, and they're hoping when he goes back to Waterford that they'll do more tests down there, because obviously they need the bed here for somebody else who's sick and coming in. Like when we arrived here yesterday, Dad at whatever time, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it was his third surgery of that type.
His third surgery? My goodness.
Yes. And he was a lovely man, a really, really nice man who really put me at ease. But it's just the fact that my dad, like, it could have been done and dusted by lunchtime yesterday if we had had the staff.
If we had a cath lab open at the weekend in Waterford.
Yes. If we had had a cath lab, like I'd say, I wear a Garmin watch, because I try and run and keep myself fit, and I won't even tell you the results of my blood pressure yesterday while all this is happening. I'd say I have aged by about 25 years in the last 24 hours.
And when you saw him in the bed in Cork, and when you spoke to him when he was conscious after the operation, what did you say to each other? Did you just know that he was very lucky?
I said, Dad, you were so lucky. I said, you were so lucky. I said, you're so lucky with the team. I said, you're so lucky that you walked every day beforehand, that you're a relatively fit man who hasn't smoked in about 40 years. You don't drink. I said, and we just have to take this as what it is, that you got help on this occasion. And I said to him, I said, Dad, I don't want to ever have to go through this again. And he knows, he knows himself. He is shook from it now. He's 24, 36 hours later. He's a different person in that his colour is back and he's chatting away. He's exhausted, and they said it's going to be a good 6 weeks. And of course, our challenge now is to try and get help for him at home when he leaves hospital.
Yeah.
So that's the next fight that I thought when I woke up on Sunday morning. I never dreamed I was going to have to be doing this.
And you spoke to your mum, and I presume she's been up to 90, so worried about it all. So worried about it all. And she's not well herself, so she was never going to be the one who was going to be doing it. Like, my dad is her carer, and now he is out of action, which is really hard, do you know what I mean? But no, she's been great, and the doctor rang their doctor as well, and everything. And all family, people have everybody been so supportive. But that's fantastic. But I want a politician to be supportive. I want somebody to say, no, this is not right. What if it was their mother or their father that they were following in an ambulance? How would they feel then? Like, it's all very well. Oh, look, I don't know. I'm just so disillusioned by the whole thing that I just can't. And I would have been fully behind it. And the nurses are so good, fully behind a cath lab. Like, I can't understand. Like, what do we have to do? Do we have to, bust on the streets to get enough money to put these people in? Like, my daughter's hoping to do medicine. And from all the doctors I spoke to in the last 24 hours, they're like, no, don't let her do it in this country. Don't let her be treated the way we're treated. That's been awful here. How does that make you feel, Jenny?
It makes me feel really sad. I think we've an amazing country. Genuinely, the people are so good. So many people have offered to help me and my family. You especially, Joe, very caring. You don't know me. Do you know what I mean? Waterford is a big village, and that's fantastic. But I don't know. I just worry that, if Dad hadn't got back from the walk, if he's had a proper heart attack out in the walk, if he's had a heart attack on the way down to the hospital, Damien, I do not know what I would have done. I genuinely don't. When they're asking me the questions in the hospital, does he have a do not resuscitate order? Is he an organ donor? They're the kind of questions that really you don't want to have to. You think about them for yourself. My husband gave his dad a kidney 8 years ago in March. An amazing surgery, life-changing for both of them. Do you know what I mean? So, our health service can be fantastic, but just, I don't know. And I don't know what the answer is either. And
has your dad does know that if there was a cath lab in Waterford, he would have been operated in Waterford. Has he said anything about that?
No, he hasn't. Dad would never. he never, do you know what, he's actually quite a forward-thinking, positive person. He was like, look, I got dealt with, everything's okay now, it's going to be okay. I suppose I'm thinking more of the consequences, because he's kind of, and it's good as well, he's thinking more positive about getting better, rather than looking behind him going,
yes,
oh God, what if this has happened? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's a good attitude, Finally, Jenny, I feel so sorry for you, and yet so happy for you that it's been a happy outcome, but do you think you've been lucky?
Oh, I think we've been incredibly lucky. I think we've been incredibly lucky with the quality of people who have been working on him for the past 2 days. I think we were lucky in a way that it was a Sunday morning and the traffic might have been reasonably easy. I think we were lucky that people were kind of fresh on shift and everything like that, because you hear horror stories of people working long hours in our health service. Yeah. And I think we were just got a really lucky call. And we absolutely were blessed that he's still here to, you know what I mean, to talk.
And you never thought you'd be talking about the need for a 24/7 cath lab in personal experience?
I never thought this would happen, and I think that's part of the problem. People never think it'll happen to them, and it happened to us, and I never want somebody to have to chase an ambulance like I did. Jenny,
mind yourself, say hello to your dad for us and your mum, and
I will.
You let us know when you're back in Waterford, won't you?
I will, yeah, I will.
Now, what do you think of that? That was Jenny Pym talking to me about her father's journey to Cork. Damien, I'm listening in tears to you this morning. I have a heart condition. I'm on oxygen. So I live in fear that something will happen to me at night or weekends. Wishing that man a speedy recovery. Damien, we met that nurse Ryan in Ardkeen a few weeks ago under different circumstances. He was absolutely brilliant. Damien, Justin, that man who had a heart attack and is waiting since September for a hernia operation. This man is I'm waiting since 2018 for the same procedure. When I phoned 2 weeks ago, I was told I would be waiting another 12 to 18 months. 24/7 is not the only issue at UHW. Damien, a text into WhatsApp 083 333 975. Listening to that woman telling of her father's problem, as a 71-year-old, I have the utmost sympathy, and I'm sure people of every age will feel the same, but one comment is necessary. Is it any wonder that Sinn Féin swept the boards in the recent election? That's from Tom in the county. Damien, just a word on the nurses. I had a coloscopy and I was absolutely terrified. Only for the fantastic nurses I was going to have a breakdown, as I suffer a bit from my nerves, and they're absolutely amazing. P.S. Love the show. Keep up the honest reporting. Thank you very much. That is in from Fitzy. Now, Damien, I worked in the hospital for 6 years under ISS, and my God, the work is hard. This is about the cleaning. The men do the bins because they are big industrial bids and would be extremely heavy. In regards to people saying the hospital is dirty, they should try and get the job out. It's near impossible to keep the place spotless. All you can do is maintain it. People tend to forget how many thousands of people pass through there every day. And the cleaning staff are only on the wards for 6 hours with a gap of 18 hours before someone is back to do the job again. It's bound to get dirty. The public should get behind the staff rather than slating them about the place being dirty. The way the staff are being treated, and I for one are in total support of those that are on strike this morning. This is from a former ISS worker. Kevin has phoned in to 051 846 123. Kevin can't understand why the cleaners are striking for people who won't even join them on the picket line. He also wonders when will the hospital start enforcing the no smoking policy. Caller said he was on ward a number of weeks ago. There was a man in a trolley in the ward and he couldn't avail of the bed because of no pillows or sheets or blankets for the bed. The nurses tried their best to help him as they could. Damien, the cleaners should definitely be on the same pay. In other words, the lower paid should be giving better pay. Damien, I remember before contract cleaners came into hospitals, they were spotless, but the change has been noticeable. So keep your texts and comments coming in 083 333 975. Next, we're going to tell you how potentially you could save €100 a month on your mortgage. Now, in a minute, I'm going to be talking to John Lowe. Firstly, some developments on the strike. I've got a text in saying that the laundry staff are out now as well, no linen services, and they're out in support of the cleaners. Management need to answer for this strike. That's a text in from a person. So if the laundry staff are out as well, that could have serious implications in terms of services at the hospital. Damien Hospital, Waterford Hospital versus cleaners. Laundry staff is now subcontracted out to Celtic cleaners. The staff no longer wash the bedding. Hospital administration claim cheaper to do it that way. Damien, our country is now more like America. The longer you live, the more money you have, or the more money you have, the longer you live. Damien, why do sick patients have to travel to Cork? Why can't surgeons in Cork drive to Waterford? It's not just the surgeons. You have if you're looking for a cath lab team, you maybe need around 7 to 10 people, including nurses and ancillary staff. Just to remind people, our news team reported that Guardian Waterford asking motorists to avoid the westbound lane at the toll plaza on the Luffany roundabout. This was a truck on fire earlier, around an hour ago, so the fire brigade is dealing with that. Now, John Lowe is the money doctor. John Lowe, good morning.
Good morning, Damien.
Thank you for joining us. A full-scale mortgage price war has broken out after the state's largest home loan lender cut rates. Are we looking at a war regarding mortgage rates, do you think, John?
Well, it should have happened, months and months ago. It's kind of happening now, but not on the kind of standard variable rate platform. It's really only on the fixed rates. And they're all, AIB came out, just yesterday, actually, with some cracking rates, but they're still not the lowest. You can get, the lowest rate at the moment is a 5-year fixed rate. You have to be borrowing over 300,000, but it's 2.2%, Damien. You can even get with the same lender 2.95 on a 10-year fixed. Best 4-year fixed rate is 2.6. The best 5-year rate, as I said, is the 2.2. You've even got believe it or not, a 2-year fixed rate of 2.3%. So these rates are coming down. But bear in mind that the actual standard variable rate average in Europe is about 1.8%. We're at 3.2%.
Yeah, and why? You mentioned right at the start, John, that it should have been done months ago. Why wasn't it done months ago?
I think Brexit would have had a certain amount of influence on that, as well as even now. The coronavirus thing is now causing havoc on the stock market, and that could affect eventually interest rates as well. But at the moment, it was really, I suppose, Brexit that was really triggering the rates staying as they are. They didn't know where it was going, but now we're in a very low rate environment. Good news for mortgage holders. So for the next maybe 10, 20 years, you can expect to have a fairly low interest rate. OK. Can you explain briefly, if you wouldn't mind, John, what is a green fixed rate? That's a very good question. I'm still trying to come to terms with that myself. I know Bank of Ireland have basically offered this, with their 90% rate, for instance, with a standard variable rate is 3.9%, and you're looking at maybe 0.2% differential between the two, and it goes all the way down. Their fixed rate, they have a 5-year fixed rate now, when it's 90% green, 2.8 as opposed to 3%. So I assume that the green refers to, climate action. Yeah. So it's a discount available for fixed rate customers. The green discount is only available for initial fixed period. So property must have a BEAR rating of A3 or better. So that's the key. It's when you get a valuation done, you're going to get a BEAR cert, and the BEAR cert then, the more green your home is, and you've got pipes lagged and all that kind of stuff. Well, then if the rating is A3 or better, you're going to get 0.2%. Yeah, so they're trying to encourage and support customers that are taking action to combat climate change. And I have to say, in fairness to them, the KBC, for instance, have a discount rate, but in their instance, where it's 0.2%, like, for instance, they have a 5-year fixed rate of 2.6, and they've just announced these new rates as well. So they'll give you 2.4 if you have an extra current account with them. It's called the extra current account. So again, it's shopping around, to all the lenders, because they'll all, as I said, AIB have come out now with this suite of new fixed rates, but they're still nowhere near the best rates.
Yeah, the European rates, especially, as you say. So just to remind people, customers on AIB, for example, currently on a variable rate of around, let's say, 3.15%. If they switch to a green 5-year fixed rate of 2.45, they're going to see a reduction of almost €100 a month, which is good. That's on a 270,000.
In fairness to AIB, they've probably got one of the best standard variable rates in the country.
Yes.
If you're borrowing the 50%, it's 2.75%. So it's not that bad.
It's not that bad, yeah. Ulster Bank are obviously, they're offering another thing. They're offering €2,000 in cash if new buyers save at least $10,000 for a deposit and take a mortgage out on it. So there's all these
well, you've also got
incentives.
Sorry to go across you there, Damien, but they're also offering, say, $1,500 in legal fees if you switch. KBC Bank, for instance, are offering $3,000 in legal fees if you switch. So, I mean, I'll offer you my book if you switch through me.
Now, these things, they sound great, and it's, as you say, they're trying to entice new customers. There's two things about this. This might work in places, for example, such as Waterford, where you have houses that are affordable, whereas in lots of parts of the country, you still have houses that are just unaffordable without not being in the reach of ordinary, I suppose, PAYE workers.
Yeah, well, you're talking about the biggest cities, and in particular, Dublin, maybe even Dublin 4. Certainly, there, you could get a 3-bedroomed, semi-detached house in Sandymount, and it would cost you maybe 700,000-800,000, and you could buy a mansion elsewhere, for that amount of money.
Oh yeah, if you had that money in Waterford, imagine what you could buy. And the other thing that comes into it, John, is this a bad sign when we have banks looking to entice customers and giving these deals? Are we looking at possibly returning to the bad old days of pre-crash?
Well, the sad part is that most of those same banks are now getting rid of their final kind of amounts of kind of bad, mortgages that
yes.
they have, and they're selling them to vulture funds, and they're selling them at ridiculously, deflated prices and discounts. So and now they want to start again, but it's a cycle. It's a cycle that happens, all the time. But they are trying to get back into the business of banking. That's why they do want to get rid of these bad debts and these loans that are not performing, so that they can get back to the banking. It's not just mortgages, but everything else, including current accounts and foreign exchange, life cover, the lot. They're A to Z of personal finance.
John, thank you so much. The Money Doctor is your book. Again, we've referred to it a number of times on air since we had you on air recently. It's a very, very good book, and anybody who wants to get it, please do, and they can check out your website as well. John Lowe, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Damien.
Thanks very much, Sean. Next up, we are going to talk about smartphones. How much do your smartphones track you? Do you really know? Adrian Weckler, good morning.
Good morning, Damien.
Thank you for joining us. We only have 5 minutes for this item because we have to get back onto our smartphones and ping ourselves around the country, don't we?
That's right. Absolutely. It's important that a whole load of unnamed, faceless corporations and people behind those know exactly where we are and exactly what we're doing.
You are a technology expert. You're a writer with the Irish Independent, and your stuff on this is brilliant. You're writing today. They can find you anywhere, can't they?
Yes, they can. So what I was writing about today was essentially how if you have a smartphone, and let's face it, everybody has a smartphone, that you are tracked every minute of every day, unless you're a real tech expert and you know all of the ways to lock down your privacy, which none of us are and none of us will do. You have literally a map of where you are and what you're doing, within 20 seconds of typing in something on your web browser.
20 seconds?
Yeah, so if any of your listeners, I'm assuming most of your listeners have a smartphone, and I'm assuming most of them use services like Google or Gmail or whatever. If you just, even right now, on your smartphone or on your laptop, if you type in myactivity.google.com, if you type that in, you'll immediately see a whole menu of things of your history of what you have been doing over the last days, weeks, months, and years. If you have that in front of you,
I'm doing it now. Yeah.
If you tap activity controls and then location history, so activity controls and then location history, you should now see a map in front of you with a whole load of red dots. Now, that's essentially you being tracked around the country or around the world. I mean, over the last few years. If you tap on any of those dots, you can zoom in. The accuracy and the detail of, say, your car journey from A to B. You might have forgotten about this, but Google didn't. It'll tell you where you were going, it'll tell you where you stopped. It might show any snaps you took along the way. Might show you other kinds of information. Now, this is basic stuff. This is just the stuff that Google knows about you, right? Right?
That's scary.
That's without even going into, with the other social media companies, without even going into what are called location companies you and I have never heard of. So what happens is, because all of this is linked to advertising, there are massive files and massive databases of traded advertising info of your location and of what you have been doing over the last few years if you haven't locked down your privacy locations. And those databases are bought and sold. Now, the thing is, they're bought and sold all over the place, so you don't know now who knows where you've been over the last few years.
Wow. And there's nothing and there's nothing illegal about this. This is completely legal.
There's absolutely nothing illegal about this. Under GDPR, companies are obliged to give you the option of locking down your privacy, of opting out of things, or not forcing you to opt into things. The problem is, as any of your listeners will know, the minute you switch on your smartphone or you start it up, particularly a new one, you just go yes, 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 yes through most of the menus. When you go online and you see a website, you'll see a pop-up at the bottom of the page which will say something like, we want to protect your privacy, do you agree to blah, blah, blah. You don't even read it. You just go, yes, just get me to my web page.
Yeah.
You're basically signing away all sorts of privacy stuff. There's a fantastic deep dive. If you want to know just literally how deep it is, there's a fantastic article. Just Google it. It's in New York Times. It's called 12 Million Phones, One Data Set, Zero Privacy. I've linked to it in my article
I
today.
see you have. It's excellent. It's really good.
It's absolutely superb.
Yeah. Adrian, thank you so much. I encourage anybody and everybody to read your article online so that Google can know when they're reading it. Is that it?
Well, yeah, they could buy the paper as well, but whatever.
No, yeah, we should buy the paper and they should read it online and pay and subscribe, because I think it's well worth it. And no, certainly buy the paper. We encourage buy journalism, support journalism. Adrian, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Damien.
Thank you. Adrian Weckler there from the Irish Independent. Fascinating stuff.